All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks again for tuning in to Save America, Vote Tulsi Gabbard. I'm Dave. I am your humble host. And I've got two stories here that dovetail with Tulsi's foreign policy. All right, so again, I'm pretty serious about this stuff. I'm on this website called antiwar.com. I get an RSS feed from this site. Been doing this since I was a member of Ron Paul's group called Campaign for Liberty. And it's a pretty decent group, or it was. Kind of sort of bottomed out. Because you know what? Anti-war just ain't cool. Yeah, it's not cool. We need to make anti-war cool again. I think that could be my next t-shirt design. Saudi king blasts Iran for naked aggression. And unfortunately, this isn't, a bunch of angry Iranians on a nude beach. Speaking on Thursday at an emergency Arab summit, Saudi King Salman claimed that his nation and others in the Arab world had failed to stand firm against Iran. And the result had been naked aggression by the Iranians. So you gotta like the Saudis. They're helping out, ramping up this, distrust of the Iranians. The king mostly tried to echo the narrative of U.S. hawks on Iran, trying to attribute things like recent drone attacks that came from Yemen to the Iranian government, trying to present the Saudis as minding their own business, and the Iranians as threatening international security. Salman then called the Arab world to confront Iran with all means of force and firmness. And Donald Trump just loves these guys. Despite this attempted narrative from the king, the Saudis have been hostile toward Iran for several decades, and his own son, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, has been driving pushes for U.S.-led military action against Iran. Oh yeah, please come over here and please start another war, because that helps us, it helps you. We buy more weapons from you. Indeed, the Saudis spend vastly more on their military than Iran ever has, and has been buying U.S. arms for many years with the idea that they might be used in a major war with Iran. The king is just echoing the talking points of U.S. hawks in suggesting otherwise. Very good website, like I say. Now, that's an interesting story. And then you couple it with this one here. You got to go to Rolling Stone. You can't go to the New York Times for this headline. Bypassing Congress, Trump sells weapons to Saudi Arabia, orders troops to the Middle East. Now, this story broke on the 25th, right? What's 25th on the calendar here? Let me just do a little research here. So today's Friday. That was back, on Saturday. So if you want to bury a news story like this, have it break late Friday and go into the weekend. This is classic political maneuvering. Plus, kids were getting out of school and so forth, people starting their summer vacations. Democratic and Republican representatives criticized the move, and one prominent Democrat said the president may have violated the law. Oh, boy. Trump is saluting. I'm tired of the military being pimped out. These are really good people, and typically they take positions within the military like any other job, and they would expect that their commanders, including the commander-in-chief, wouldn't send them on fool's errands. As tensions with Iran have escalated, President Trump wanted to sell weapons to Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, and Jordan, but he knew Congress won't approve his decision. So on Friday, the president went all unconstitutional and announced he was going to declare a national emergency. Well, hold on a second here. Are we under attack? Is there a tragedy somewhere? Is there a natural disaster? Nope. It's tensions with Iran. tensions have escalated. And incredibly, this story is incredible. And the fact that this isn't the lead, or hasn't been the lead on newscasts for days now, shows you the power of the MIC, Military Industrial Complex, for those of you who not really all there on the MIC acronym. All right, so here's the deal. So announced he was going to declare a national emergency, allowing him to sell to foreign governments around $8 billion worth of weapons, including the sale were precision-guided bombs, as well as other types of bombs and ammunitions and related equipment. Okay, so Tulsi Gabbard one time said that Trump has made Saudi Arabia his B. She used a B word, and she was correct. I love Tulsi when she gets like kind of rough and tumble soldier. She does that. It's really fun, and she's not going to be pushed around by anybody. And she's going to tell it like it is. The president also ordered 1,500 troops. Here's the anti-interventionalist Donald Trump ordering 1,500 troops to the Middle East. According to the New York Times, there's an Elton John advertisement for his new movie about him. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, my favorite guy next to John Bolton, wrote in a letter justifying the decision. He had to, at least he wrote a letter. He wrote a letter. Good for him. They didn't run it by Congress. They wrote a letter to Congress justifying that, hey, let me just put this down. Dog ate my homework here. Incredible. Incredible. You send 1,500 troops into a hot zone, and for no reason other than the Saudis. Remember the last story here. Naked aggression. Those nude beach people in Iran, they're just causing turmoil. I'm just kidding, by the way. If you didn't, it's a little sarcasm. It's Friday. I'm just goofing around a little bit. But this is serious crap. So he writes the letter, and he sends it to Chairman James Risch. He's a Republican from Idaho. I have determined that an emergency exists, which requires the proposed sale in the national security interest of the United States. Imagine we have an emergency. We need to sell weapons now. This is like you could do a movie script and it wouldn't be this crazy and out there. So we have the emergency, so we have to sell these weapons. All of those Christians that voted for Donald Trump, does this sound Christian-y? The reason I just thought of that. I mean, is this blessed are the peacemakers? Is this it? Or is this like, blessed are the warmongers? And we're all really just warmongers, and we love Israel, even though that's not the faith we practice. But we love them, even though they reject the God. But we're just going to continue to love them because, we misinterpret a few Bible verses. So that's how we get out of that one. So let me read this again. I have determined that an emergency exists, which requires the proposed sale in the national security interest of the United States and thus waives congressional review requirements. Okay, here's this waives. So they could have said, which requires the proposed sale in the national security interest of the United States and thus makes the Constitution of the United States null and void. I'm a constitutional conservative. No, you're not. This is guy in Idaho, James Risch. He's got to be, it's like a Glenn Beck lackey. Well, I ran as a constitutional conservative. But yet, we're going to give Trump some weapons. We're not going to go through any kind of process. We're just going to do it because there's an emergency going on. Risch said he was reviewing and analyzing the legal justification for this action and the associated implications. Well, good. He's reviewing and analyzing. He's not stopping. Doesn't say he's putting the brakes on it. But Senate Foreign Relations Committee ranking member Senator Bob Menendez, as corrupt as they are, went further and said in a statement that the move may have violated the law. He says, "I am disappointed but not surprised that I didn't come up with this first." No. That the Trump administration has failed once again to prioritize our long-term national security interests or stand up for human rights, and instead is granting favors to authoritarian countries like Saudi Arabia. The Trump administration decided to do an end run around Congress and possibly the law. Let's not impeach for this, but let's impeach for fake Russian collusion. No impeach for this. I don't know how many accents I'm doing. Don't make any sense, so please excuse them. In the wake of the brutal murder of journalist Jamal Khashoggi, the CIA determined by Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, both parties in Congress voted to stop supporting the proxy war in Yemen, led by Saudi Arabia. But we just went through how we're still supporting the proxy war in Saudi Arabia. Pompeo said the move to circumvent Congress was a one-time event, appearing for one night only. Constitutional crisis. One night only. Get your tickets, buy your popcorn. We only circumvent one time. It's never going to happen again. Ha! Load of BS. This I know this is a serious article, but some of the things in here are very, very entertaining. Defense Department officials and National Security Advisor John Bolton, oh, I'm so happy I got to say his name, are reported to be behind the aggressive. You think? Bolton behind aggressive Iran policy? Nah, not John Bolton. This is about deterrence, not about war, Acting Defense Secretary Patrick Shanahan told reporters after a closed-door congressional briefing on Iran. A closed door! Let's shut them doors so nobody knows what we're doing. But Iranian Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif said the United States is playing a very, very dangerous game with these moves. You know, I actually have to agree with Mohammad Javad Zarif. I have to agree with him. And General Morteza Korbani, an Iranian military advisor, told the news that after the sale went public, if they commit the slightest stupidity, we will send these ships to the bottom of the sea, along with their crew and planes, using 2 missiles or 2 new secret weapons. That's a really good way to tamp down on pressure in the Middle East. That's working wonderfully. So they just turned up their rhetoric full steam, and that's the end of this article. So that last paragraph, after all of the fun and frivolity of saying John Bolton's name and aggressive Iran policy all in the same sentence, the punchline is that we've stirred up another hornet's nest, folks. We've done it again. And Tulsi Gabbard, this whole thing is what she's been talking about. She talks about this. Don't make Saudi Arabia your bee. I'm not using the word. I'm trying not to get demonetized. And over here, it's you gotta stop naked aggression. I mean, the king is just echoing the talking points of U.S. hawks in suggesting otherwise. So this is these guys are basically like John Bolton and Saudi Arabia are on the same page. And they're trying to kind of box Trump in. And Trump just wants to survive his presidency. So he's just going to go along with it. But good reporting by Rolling Stone. And Tulsi Gabbard's foreign policy is spot on. There's no way you don't go through Congress to do this. There's no way you don't have a vote. There's no way you don't go back and ask your constituents, hey, is this a national emergency? At the very least, This is not a national emergency. At the very least, at the very most, it's a violation of the Constitution. And if you're going to do an impeachable offense, do you think this isn't? Because it sure as heck has got more substance and more teeth in it than fake Russian collusion. But yet, we just want to keep going down that road because we can't believe that Americans elected Donald Trump over Hillary Clinton. That's just not plausible. Hillary Clinton, she would be over in Saudi Arabia, partying it up with these people. And yeah, selling weapons, sure, Hillary would probably sell more. I mean, but this is some bad stuff. And the only two presidential candidates, well, there's three if you consider Mike Gravel. But it's Tulsi, Bernie, and Gravel. Gravel's probably not going to get to the debate stage. I'd love to see him get up there just so he can preach anti-war. And he would talk this Rolling Stone article. He would talk antiwar.com stuff. We need Tulsi. We need her up on that debate stage. If you haven't donated to her campaign yet, she needs more individual, unique donors, people who haven't donated yet. You need to get to like 130,000 now and 2% in the fake polls that they're doing. I'm sorry, the somewhat skewed polling that they're doing. We need her up there. People need to hear about this stuff. If it weren't for me reading it right now, getting it into the record, it's kind of like the Pentagon Papers. I just read into the YouTube record that the president has ordered 1,500 troops to the Middle East, and we've sold $8 billion worth of weapons because of an emergency without any congressional, call it oversight, but Congress should vote on this because it's a proxy war that we're supporting. And folks, this is bad crap. And 95% of the country right now is, at the bar having a beer. And people need to wake up a little bit. That's all. Tulsi 2020.